Have you ever wondered what a person is truly capable of when betrayal burns deeper than love? Some people scream, some cry, but others they make a deal with something darker than themselves. This is not just a story of revenge. It's a confession of what I became when I let the whispers guide me. I never imagined my life would spiral into darkness like this. Betrayal isn't just a crack in your heart. It's a chasm swallowing every light inside you. I was a man like any other, living in the sleepy town of Millers Falls, Massachusetts, with Emily, my wife. We had a quiet life, or so I thought. But beneath the surface, secrets festered, poisoning everything I held dear. It started small, messages on her phone, a glance at a stranger's number, laughter that didn't reach her eyes. One night, I found her phone unlocked on the kitchen table. A name, Jack, repeated over and over in flirtatious texts. I confronted her, but she smiled and told me it was nothing. That smile, that lie shattered me. Days later, I discovered an address scrawled on a scrap of paper. A cheap motel downtown. My heart sank. I followed her steps in silence, watching shadows merge with the night. She wasn't just talking, she was betraying me piece by piece. Desperation clawed at my mind. I couldn't just walk away. I needed control, power. That's when he came to me, a figure emerging from the darkness, a man with coal black eyes and a voice like gravel. He said he could help me, give me strength beyond mortal means, power to make her suffer, to make Jack pay for their sins. The price was steep, but I was already drowning in my own rage and pain. I agreed. The ritual was in a forsaken chapel on the town's edge, a place thick with decay and forgotten prayers. As the final candle flickered out, I felt coldness not of this world seep into my bones. From that moment, I was no longer alone. Subtle at first, the whisper of wind, the flicker of shadows, then the darkness began to guide me. When Jack's body was found, burned and mutilated, eyes gouged out, limbs arranged in a grotesque mockery of prayer, I knew the pact had been sealed. The police were baffled. Forensics uncovered strange toxins in his bloodstream, poisons unknown to science. The symbols burned into the ground matched ancient markings from a grim where Emily once hid, a book of curses and infernal bargains. Strange phenomena escalated. Neighbors reported ghostly lights flickering near my house, terrifying screams shattering the night silence. Objects moved inexplicably. Icy chills followed my every step. Investigators swore they heard whispers, saw shadows no camera could capture. The sheriff's department grew frantic. Occult experts were called in. The town's tight-knit fabric unraveled under the weight of fear and suspicion. Emily's family confronted me, desperate and accusing. But I knew the truth. The darkness had chosen me as its vessel. The police interrogated me, but I was protected by the shadows. Evidence twisted, memories blurred. The entity living inside me manipulated reality itself. One night, Emily vanished, leaving behind only a bloodstained dress and a note. The shadows take what is owed. I was lost between worlds. My reflection in the mirror sometimes showed hollow black eyes staring back, a silent scream frozen on my lips. When I led the officers to the chapel, they found me encircled by salt, eyes vacant, lips curled in a sinister smile. The power had consumed me, body and soul. This is my warning. Vengeance bought with darkness exacts a price beyond reckoning. Some hollow eyes never close. Before I continue, if you want to learn the full story, subscribe and like so you don't miss the next part. Now back to Millers Falls. The killings continued, each one more brutal, more terrifying than the last. Jack was just the beginning. Soon, other men from Emily's past started turning up dead, twisted beyond recognition, their bodies marked with symbols of the dark pact I'd made. The town whispered of a curse, but the police saw only a series of inexplicable murders. The forensic team struggled to make sense of the evidence. At one crime scene, A man named Robert was found suspended by fishing lines in an abandoned warehouse, his skin blistered and blackened as if burned by unnatural fire. His eyes, like Jack's, were gouged out. On the floor beneath him, a circle of ash and candles burned low, surrounding a collection of ancient runes. Detective Laura Mitchell, assigned to the case, confided in me once that the scenes felt like something out of a nightmare, something not human. The fear in her voice was real, and I realized the darkness was spreading beyond me, infecting the town. Emily's family grew frantic. Her mother, a stern woman with tired eyes, begged the police to find her daughter alive. But deep down, I knew Emily had paid the price for my deal. The shadows did not tolerate debts unpaid. The town's atmosphere shifted. Lights flickered mysteriously. Strange shapes appeared in photographs taken near the crime scenes. Neighbors reported hearing whispers in the dead of night, and some swore the local cemetery was alive with unnatural movement. At home, I found myself haunted by visions. Emily's face, pale and hollow-eyed, appeared in reflections, beckoning me deeper into madness. I would wake up drenched in sweat, the smell of sulfur thick in the air. Investigations revealed strange toxins in victims' bloodstreams, compounds untraceable by science. The police enlisted occult specialists, but even they were baffled. The case files filled with reports of unexplainable phenomena, cold spots, electronic devices failing, and cryptic symbols carved into walls. Despite the chaos, the darkness whispered promises of strength and retribution. I was losing myself to it. One bitter winter night, the final act unfolded. I led law enforcement to the chapel where my pact was born. Inside, the air was thick with a suffocating presence. The walls bore scars from ancient rituals, symbols glowing faintly under moonlight. The officers found me sitting within a circle of salt, eyes completely black, a haunting smile frozen on my face. My body trembled as the shadows writhed around me. A prisoner and master of the dark forces eyed unleashed. That night, the town of Millers Falls plunged into silence. Some say the darkness left with me, others that it lingers still, waiting for the next desperate soul. If you've made it this far, please remember to subscribe and like the channel. It helps us bring you more stories like this. Now, take care and beware the deals made in shadows. The investigation that followed was unlike any I had experienced before. Detective Mitchell led the charge with relentless determination. She brought in forensic teams, occult experts, and even a few skeptics, hoping to find some logical explanation for the horrors unfolding in Millers Falls. At the crime scenes, meticulous photographs documented the macabre details. The ash circles, the burned candles, the eerie symbols etched into wood and stone. Specialists analyzed the toxins in the victim's blood, but no known chemical matched the samples. It was as if some otherworldly poison was coursing through their veins. The police interviewed neighbors who reported strange sounds, whispers that seemed to come from nowhere, shadows moving against the wind. Some even claimed to see flickering lights hovering above the ground late at night. Emily's family was torn apart by grief and suspicion. Her mother accused me openly, convinced I was behind all. Her father, a quiet man with trembling hands, refused to believe his daughter was capable of such darkness but feared the worst. Through it all, I remained a fractured man, haunted by what I had done and the presence I had invited into my life. The entity's whispers were constant, urging me on, feeding my rage and despair. Sometimes I thought I could hear Emily's voice, distorted and broken, calling from beyond. As the bodies kept piling up, the town's sense of normalcy shattered. The streets emptied earlier each night. Friends stopped returning calls. The fear was palpable, a living thing swallowing Millers Falls whole. One evening, Detective Mitchell confronted me directly. She looked into my hollow eyes and said, "This isn't just murder, is it? There's something else, something you can't explain." I said nothing because even I wasn't sure anymore. The final piece of the puzzle came when I found a journal hidden among Emily's things. A book filled with cryptic symbols, rituals, and dark bargains. It was clear she had been dabbling in things far beyond her understanding. I realized the darkness was never mine alone. We were both trapped. That night, the shadows claimed their last victim, and I led the police to the chapel for the final confrontation. The ritual's echoes still lingered in the cold air, a testament to the price of vengeance. Now, I share this story as a warning. When betrayal consumes you, when you seek power to punish, be careful what you wish for. Some deals don't end with justice. They end with damnation. In the weeks that followed, Miller's Falls descended into a fog of fear and paranoia. The townsfolk whispered of curses and dark rituals, and the once close-knit community frayed at the edges. Doors were bolted tight before sundown, and the streets emptied by nightfall. Families huddled together, clutching talismans and crosses, hoping to ward off whatever evil had taken root. Detective Mitchell worked tirelessly, piecing together evidence that seemed to defy logic. She noted the bizarre similarities between the murders, the mutilations, the symbols, the presence of unidentifiable toxins. Despite her skepticism, even she began to acknowledge that this was no ordinary case. I was a ghost among the living, haunted by the entity that now inhabited me. It whispered promises of strength, but at a cost that gnawed at my soul. Emily's face, pale and accusing, haunted my dreams and reflections alike. One cold evening, a local priest named Father Donovan approached me. He had heard rumors of the pact and the darkness engulfing Miller's Falls. His eyes were filled with sorrow and fear. He warned me that the entity feeding off my rage was ancient and relentless, and that breaking free would require more than faith. It would demand sacrifice. I confessed to him everything: the betrayal, the deal, the murders. He listened silently, then offered to help perform a cleansing ritual. But even he hesitated, fearing the consequences. Meanwhile, Emily's family held a funeral shrouded in mystery. No one knew where her body was, only a note with the chilling words, "The shadows take what is owed." The absence of closure deepened the town's anguish. As the months dragged on, the killings ceased, but the darkness lingered. The police filed the case as unsolved murders linked by a deranged mind. I was left alone with my hollow eyes and the unbearable weight of what I had become. If you've reached this far, please consider subscribing and liking to support the channel. These stories need to be told. Remember, some bargains are made in shadows, and some debts are never paid. The years that followed were a haze of nightmares and regret. Miller's Falls tried to forget, but the scars remained. Empty houses, broken families, and whispered warnings to outsiders. I became a recluse, haunted not only by what I did, but by the presence that never left me. Detective Mitchell moved on to other cases, but kept in touch. She once told me she believed something unholy had been unleashed, something that could never be contained by law or logic. Occasionally, at night, I still feel the cold breath of the entity behind me, urging me toward darkness, promising power if I would only surrender. I resist, but I know the price I paid was more than flesh. It was my very soul. This story is not just a confession, it's a warning. When betrayal burns deep, when vengeance tempts you to seek dark forces, remember the cost. Some deals are sealed with more than blood. They're sealed with your humanity. Thank you for listening. If you want more stories from the shadows, subscribe and like. Stay vigilant and beware the hollow eyes watching from the dark.